I catch up with your, stories on Instagram, and I can tell the social side, but you kind of strike me like an introvert. I kind of believe for someone to be functional, in that venture, you need all of your mind, you need all of your time, as much as you can give. Where is relationship in all of this? At least for a successful, fine gentleman. All right, welcome back. This is Still Rooted, the conversation that matters on Wells Television on YouTube. My name is Ayo. Welcome back once again. My guest is still Yele Bademosi. Yele Bademosi is a co-founder and the CEO of Nestcoin. I found that on the internet. I know of microtraction. I think at the time we met, I was privy to your email address, and it had microtraction. So I know about microtraction. And at some point, I think I saw when you launched, is it Nestcoin? I think I saw that on X, the former Twitter. Binance Lab, I saw that in your bio. And because I'd used Binance at some point. I know, I did Bundle Africa. And so I just know that Yele Bademosi is into so many things. And but in Nigeria, people talk about crypto, cryptocurrency, and then some of your startup companies and all of that. It's a lot, but I'm sure you can handle it.
Well, I'll try my best. So when people say I do tech, that just means digital technology. So it means having a business that is run primarily online. So a product or service that is delivered online. Crypto is a blockchain, is a subset of tech, and what that just means is, applications and services that are delivered through the type of technology that is called the blockchain.
The blockchain.
And crypto is a subset of blockchain. Which generally has to do with the transfer and exchange of assets that exist digitally on the blockchain. So those three words are sort of connected and interrelated in a way. If I try to, you can take a whole hour to explain
break it down,
what all these things mean. But what I try to sort of like, when I try to summarize the industry, or like why it's even become an industry in itself, is the blockchain has created a way for us to transfer value online in a simple, cheap, and efficient manner. And the way you think about this is, there was a time when if I wanted to send a letter to somebody, or I wanted to send you an information, the only way to do that was through the letter. And then, we had the telephone, which was a digital and faster form of communication. And now we have email, which means that information is moving across the world constantly and all over the place, and we don't have to both get on the phone at the same time for us to talk, right? So what crypto and blockchain, or what makes people really excited, is that we've invented a way to move value and money the same way that we send email. That unlocks a whole lot of applications and use cases that we are not, that we don't, there's no cap to what that is, right? Like when the internet was invented, in the 70s and 80s, even the early founders of the internet had no idea the businesses and how large the digital economy would be. And so, when you hear this new terminology called the on-chain economy, essentially the thesis is that the same way how we have this massive multi-trillion-dollar digital economy that powers the world as we know it, there's going to be a new digital economy that is called, on-chain. And so that's why we say things like on-chain is the new or is the next online, right? So how you have online TV, you would have on-chain TV.
On-chain TV.
How you have, online media or like e-commerce, anything that is online is going to become on-chain.
On-chain, yeah.
So that's what makes everybody really excited. Now, there is an adjacent industry that is probably even bigger at the moment and has captured the attention of the world at an incredible space, which is AI.
Absolutely.
We see on-chain money being the currency for this AI world, right? Because when you have, and not to get into the nitty-gritty, but with AI, what's going to happen is that you're going to have these AI agents that need to, transact and, exchange value and information, and the way they will pay each other will be through this digital form of
let's talk about the gains and the losses. It's electronic, and then this is money, electronic money. I know again in Nigeria, so I'm talking about Nigeria. Maybe someone wondering and saying, "Oh, why is this man saying Nigeria? Nigeria? We're making this video in Nigeria. I live in Nigeria, and so I want to use the worldview of a lot of Nigerians when it comes to cryptocurrency or the blockchain technology. We're going to get to the body language of the government, what they are saying, and the systems surrounding that for now. But let's talk about the gains and the losses. I saw one of your video, during COVID-19, downsizing. At the beginning of the show, you said a decade in 1 week, and then all of that. That's obvious that there are gains and there are losses. Let's talk about the risk surrounding your kind of profession. Even if you were to be a medical doctor now, I'm sure you will still see, the risk surrounding the job in itself. But this is money. And money does all things, like a popular proverb. Let's talk about the gains and the losses and the risks surrounding your profession or your career.
I think, like I said, with anything, there are risks, there are challenges. And if you remember earlier, I talked about this idea and importance of like risk management. One of my favorite books I read recently is called Engines That Move Markets. And the whole thesis of the book is it goes through almost 150 years of human history and looks at key innovations that transformed the world, right? So things like the locomotive engine to oil to computers and internet and electricity. And what you realize is that when they looked at all these there are 8 of them, and now the 9th one we are suspecting it will be AI. When you look at all these things, they all followed the same pattern. That is, when an industry is new, is risky because most people don't quite understand the technology and the use cases. It's not regulated. There's a lot of speculation. Everybody believes that this is the best thing since sliced bread, which is true because over time, and you looked at the years of research, that was what happened. But they all make the same mistake, which is this time is different. So we forget the lessons of almost 100 years, and we all believe that this new technology is going to be different from the previous ones, which means that there's a lot of capital that comes in, there is no risk management, and things are bound to kind of like go wrong because in any economy, even the safest of the economies in the world, what is happening is it's a contraction and then or is a boom and bust cycles that happen. But these plays out over, let's say, 4 to 6 year cycles. When you have these instances of these types of technologies, that 4 to 6 year cycles happens in 12 months.
Wow.
Right? And so crypto as a technology and as an industry has gone through these types of periods, and unfortunately there are people who have taken on a lot of risk and hasn't really played out well, and the people who hadn't really done anything but given the market realities and market conditions, like everyone gets affected by it. And so I think for me, when I think about like the space, I always tell people that, like, number one, don't bite off more than you can chew. If you hold any digital assets and you can't sleep at night and you are checking constantly, or you are worried, the question was asked was quite easy. If this thing went down 50%, what are you going to do?
Do you sleep at night?
I
Maybe I
sleep at
ask
night.
you.
I sleep at night. I sleep. To be honest, I sleep.
Because I just imagine
I've
for an
always-
investor and then someone in your own industry, and you run, these companies in blockchain.
Yeah.
So I can imagine for the average person, let me just invest, and you feel like, oh my goodness, the next minute you're checking the back end and you're seeing. So that's why I'm
No.
asking that. Do you sleep at night?
When I sleep 6 hours a day.
Okay.
I think we're meant to sleep like 7 or 8
7
hours.
or 8, yeah. 6 basic. That's still fine.
But actually, like the stresses as an entrepreneur, for me anyways, has nothing to do with like the digital assets that I own, right? And that's, like I told you, about risk management.
Yeah.
So we have a long-term view about this stuff, and I don't even know, when I started this my career, I used to know the price of these assets, because every day I don't care now, because we are not thinking about it in the short term, right? And that's what most people should try to
do,
get to.
yeah.
But obviously, there are stresses of trying to build a business and trying to do things that hasn't really been done before, like figured out and things like that. But I feel like I've kind of accepted that this is the path that I've chosen. I think I would the question I ask myself every single time is like, am I happy? And it's a privilege to wake up every day and take on the challenges that I take on.
Even irrespective of the losses that you may have experienced in time past, you still find a place to feel happy.
Yeah,
because
I think
that is what you really want to do or be.
Yeah, and I think, like, again, if you look at public markets, right, and look at stock prices for even the best companies, it's not like this.
Yeah, it's rising and falling.
Right,
Yeah.
like if you zoomed in on any time period, like it might be going down, might be going up, but when you look at it over a longer time period, it's like, are they building value, right? And I think that's kind of like the same thing for us. It's like where we are as an industry versus even like 24 months ago is completely different. I think I mentioned to you, off camera, that Nigeria, for instance, has licenses for the space.
Absolutely.
In the US, they are probably the biggest driver for regulation at the moment. Two massive regulations. One has passed, one is about to pass, Genius Act and the Clarity Act, which completely regulates the industry. In Europe, there is a MiCA license for virtual assets, self-provided licenses. We have one of those. We have one in Canada. So it's like the industry is growing up, and we've been building in the space for like a while, and we're very excited, because it's like the world is like catching up, and Now we can build, right? It's kind of, it's almost been a bit frustrating, because imagine if, let's say, when the internet was coming out, there was a lot of regulatory pressure on we being able to build and do stuff with the internet.
Yeah.
But I also understand it, because, like I mentioned, the internet the web is the internet of information. Blockchain is the internet of money. And money outside of the internet is a highly regulated space. So the goal has always been for the space to get regulated, so that entrepreneurs and builders like myself can figure out how to use this technology to solve really hard problems,
bigger problems.
If for me, success is being able to give someone access to credit that they can't even get from a
regular commercial bank.
Right? Being able to build, reputation that unlocks opportunities for you. You can be in Ibadan, but somebody in the US, somebody in China trusts you. And we talked about my certificate being in Ibadan. With what we're doing, you would have a digital certificate that is with you, and nobody can take it from you. And you have this merit that unlocks global opportunities for you. So whilst you are here in your house, you can be working globally, and they're not paying you at the end of the month. They're paying you instantly. They're paying you every day, right? And you're not earning in Naira, you're earning in USD, in pounds, in yen, and the money is coming straight
into you. Yeah.
That is not a future that is like, 10, 20 years away. Like, we are not that far away from building these things. So trust me, like, there's a reason why I've been building in this space. And like, it's like, I've seen a horse at the races. They have these things called blinders, and what it does is that it removes distractions. They can't see
just a direct vision.
They can't see the other horses in the race. They can't see the crowds. They can't hear anything. Their blinders they're on, and they're locked in, and that's kind of like what what this thing is.
It's all about.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
I know, right?
One thing I would say is genius is or success is 1% genius and 99% perspiration. You kind of have to work hard for it. And the reason why most people, the people who kind of like are not able to pull something off, but a lot of people don't even put in enough effort to begin with.
Wow.
So that's kind of like a personal commitment that I've made to myself and to my team, to my investors, that we're here for the long run, and God willing, we will do it.
Wow, Mr. Yele Bademosi is actually loaded, and we can stay here and stay here and stay here. I want us to touch 3 more things, and then I'll let you go. Right? Let's talk about your companies that you have built over time. Just like I said, the Binance lab, I believe in Africa, not just in Nigeria. Microtraction, Nestcoin. Let's just run us through your profile. Intimidate us a bit. We want to be intimidated, at least so we can learn from it. And maybe just touch the process from one level up onto the other one. Why did you move from this level? Obviously, something is driving you. And I'm sure I can only imagine what the next 10 years will be. I'm still going to ask you anyways. So let's look at that, the process from one stage up onto the other one.
Yeah. I think, like, for me, I've always had a clear idea of, like, the mission. And, what always changes is kind of like the how, right? Like, being able to, maybe the written have changed, and I'm still thinking about this, so maybe in the future I'll change it from connecting people. But for me, it's sort of creating access, inspiring change, and then creating or equalizing access, inspiring change, and creating happiness. and those have kind of been the theme. So when I came back to Nigeria, I just wanted to sort of get into the tech ecosystem and understand, concretely what direction I would face. And after working with Dotsu and Starter, we realized that there was a gap for funding technology entrepreneurs, and that was what became Microtraction. So we worked with entrepreneurs, provided capital that they can't get from banks to build technology startups. That was Microtraction. And then I discovered sort of like blockchain technology, met with the folks at Binance in the US, and worked with them to sort of invest in entrepreneurs across Africa. And from there, I went on to build my first sort of blockchain startup, which was Bundle. Bundle was like a cash app for Africa, so gave people access to digital assets in a very simple way. We had over 1 million users.
Oh, wow.
And then started Nestcoin in 2021 as a holding company that was building more blockchain startups and then also investing. And yeah, we've invested in about 13 companies, incubated 2.
Interesting.
One of them is in the sort of gaming space, and right
still
now
still in the the heart of creativity and tech, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And right now, sort of the primary product for Nestcoin is Onboard. So Onboard is essentially building a digital bank for remote workers and professionals in the creative economy, and we provide them with multi-currency accounts and cards for them to receive money, spend and send. Send money regardless of where they're from.
I look forward to that, really.
So
I'm sure that for freelancers and the likes, that will be great.
Yeah.
Wow, you've done so much. Let's talk about relationship. A fine gentleman. I'm sure someone is watching right now and say, this guy must be so busy. But I catch up with your, stories on Instagram, and I can tell the social side, but you kind of strike me like an introvert. I kind of believe for someone to be functional, in that venture, you need all of your mind, you need all of your time, as much as you can give. Where is relationship in all of this? At least for a successful, fine gentleman. I choose the word successful. I know you might want to modify that, but I choose to use the word successful here.
Yeah, I think relationships are very important, and I'm very, very fortunate to be in one. And yeah, she's been a blessing in my life, and we're very similar but different.
That works.
I always like to say like a yin yang.
Yin yang, yeah.
So I used to think that I wanted like someone that mirrored me and my personality, in terms of kind of being like this, like another A-type player, but actually like having that balance is like really, really good.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely been like quite grounding for me, and sort of knowing the importance of living a like holistic life beyond the like outside work. I used to be quite extroverted, but I think I'm more introverted these days. But no, it's great. It's going well. So.
So we should expect a wedding soon, right? Well, I mean, you, and I like the fact that you said she's something. You said, oh, interesting stuff. Someone is here, so stay away. You want to spill, at least, so the tech community can get the news from here. Anyways, let's talk about how you relax, really. How do you relax? Do you play football? Do you play video games? I can say, I mean, before the interview, checking your phone and meetings upon meetings and meetings upon meetings. How do you relax? How do you catch up with family, even your relationship? You know?
I think, like, you know, as an entrepreneur, like, the idea of work-life balance is, like, in the traditional sense anyways, is a bit of a myth. But I've kind of learned this year to be intentional about, like, finding times to take breaks and relax. And, you know, I have a morning routine and a night routine. I have this thing called a Whoop, which helps me kind of, like, just track, like, stress and my steps and, you know, how I'm recovering. I go to the gym about three times a week. I like to go for runs. I walk. I read a lot. I don't really play games. I have a PlayStation in my house, but I think, like, I don't play games because it's like I've spent my whole day, like, tasking my brain, and then now I'm now playing another game that I have to use the same
energy and mental
so
capacity
I'm
to drive.
more of a watcher. I like to watch YouTube, and I read a lot, like I mentioned. So I probably read like 3 or 4 books at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of like
how you relax. What book are you reading currently? You want to share?
Alchemist.
Author?
I don't know the author's name. Reading The Alchemist, Engines That Move Markets.
Okay, Engines That Move Market. I think I should check it out. Yeah.
I just finished Elon Musk's book, biography. What are the books am I reading at the moment? Sweaty Startup.
Okay.
I wish I read that book when I was getting into tech, because it kind of just turned the whole tech idea on its head.
All around, yeah. Are you planning to write your own book? I think your story will be very interesting.
I've definitely got the number of people ask me about that, and it is a. I always say that, like, you know, you watch movies and you're like, man, that's such a good movie, or you read a book and you're like, that's so interesting. It's very different living it. I'm very thankful for these experiences because they've made me who I am, and like I'm 34 and there's no meeting if I came into Ibadan in Lagos, and the guy was like he's the chairman of one of the most successful startups in Nigeria, and he was like, Yele, like, the things you're saying, you know, they are 60-year-old MDs.
Wow.
That they've not, like, they're just kind of like deciding, like, this is the way I'm gonna do certain things, right? So, you know, in the time going through it, it was like very challenging, but I'm very thankful that I've been able to kind of go through it and like come out and sort of still be standing, still be going strong. So maybe I'll write a book. I probably won't write it myself. I think I'll need help, but
from someone else. Yeah,
but I mean, no rush.
That works. That works. And finally, before I let you go, where is Nigeria in all of this? The future of tech, young creators. And I'm very concerned about Nigeria as a nation, and I believe that you would also agree with me that we have a lot of potential here. You are a Nigerian, you have created stuff for not just Nigeria but for Africa, and still doing more. Where is Nigeria as a nation in all of this? Where do you expect the nation to be, and where do you think the nation should be?
Nigeria is, I think the best word or the best phrase is, Nigeria is a sleeping giant.
Wow.
And the reason why you can't give up on Nigeria is, it's similar to the phrase I said earlier, right? Like, when Nigeria decides to move, you know, Africa will feel it and the world will know it. But it's also disappointing on a macro level because you're like, we have so much potential. And so I think short term, you know, is anybody's guess or anybody's bet. At least the Naira seems to be a bit more stable. You know, I think the macro factors might not be as like strong, but like as long as we continue to digitize our economy, and as long as we encourage more foreign investments and sort of take advantage of the human potential. You know, I used to be worried about the rise of AI, and because before AI took off, one of our key theses was that we were going to use human talent from Nigeria and Africa and sort of export that to the world. The term was export services. But now AI has created a bunch of autonomous agents, which people now even call like digital workers, that are literally taking jobs. So a lot of the jobs that we thought were going to come to Africa and a lot of people earn like hard currencies like USD, GBP, and like yen are being done now by these digital workers. And so that was a concern for us. But what we're actually seeing is that there's going to be an opportunity where you can combine sort of like an actual human with this AI intelligence, and then you have like what we call like augmented intelligence. So before, you know, if you wanted somebody who was just a recent graduate to do something that involved knowledge work, they couldn't do it because they have not spent time and experience. But when you have an AI overlay, they can know things a lot quicker and they can actually do things. And that's kind of what we mean by augmented intelligence. So I think like I said, you know, the goal is to equalize access, and I still strongly believe that the combination of on-chain currencies and AI would play a tremendous role in kind of like Nigeria's prosperity. So that's why like despite all the challenges and all the craziness in the short term, I'm still like long term bullish.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for
and
having
we
me.
hope to have you around again.
Thank you.
Promise?
I'll be there.
All right, that's all for today on Rooted, the conversation that matters. Thank you so much for watching, and then definitely would like to read from you. All right, the comment section is there for you to drop your comment, questions for Mr. Yele. Hopefully you're going to find the video and maybe respond to the comments, hopefully, but we would like to read from you. Remember to use the like button, also the share button, and most importantly, the notification bell. Please tap on the notification area, subscribe, and of course, you will be the first to get notified when next we come again on Rooted. This is Wells Television Online, broadcasting to you from Wells Broadcasting House along Alafin Avenue, Oluyole State, here in Ibadan, the capital of your state. My name is Ayo. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.